Hi guys, welcome to this lesson. We are going to look at the passive voice, but before then, let us remind or talk more about voice. Voice is signaled by a verb. It is that form of a verb which shows whether what is denoted by the verb performs an action or as an action performed on it. In English, we have two voices, the active voice and the passive voice. Now, the active voice. Now, a verb in the active voice has the subject perform an action, unlike the passive voice, where a verb in the passive voice has some action performed on the subject instead of the subject doing it by itself, like in the active voice. Now, verbs in the passive voice use the verb to be plus past participle. For example, Mount Kenya was climbed by June last month. Now, this sentence is in the passive voice. Now, when it is in its active voice, it will be June climbed Mount Kenya last month. Another example, the puppet show was appreciated by our children. Now, when a sentence has both direct and indirect objects, either object may become the subject of the passive verb. Now, when we are talking about a direct object in English, a direct object is the object in which the verb is acting on. For example, is sold is car. Car here is our direct object. You may also say direct object is a person or thing that is affected by the action of the verb or receives the action of the verb. Now, indirect object is the recipient of the direct object. For example, the man gave his wife a necklace. In this example, wife here is our indirect object, while necklace is our direct object. Back to this, we say that when a sentence has both direct and indirect objects, either object may become the subject of the passive verb. For example, an active voice sentence, Mary gave Lucy a hard time. This sentence is in the active voice. In passive voice, we will have two options. A hard time was given to Lucy by Mary, and Lucy was given a hard time by Mary. Now, direct object of a verb in the active voice becomes the subject of the verb when it is in the passive voice. For example, the test was marked by the teacher. In this sentence, our subject is the test. Our verb was marked and it is passivized. It is in the passive form, and our agent is by the teacher. Now, when the verb is in the passive, the subject of the sentence becomes the recipient of the action, not the doer of the action. Now, when changing a sentence from active to passive voice, 1, the active subject becomes the passive subject. 2, the active object becomes the passive object. The verb is passivized, and the word by is used to indicate the instrument if the object is necessary in your sentence. Now, the passive voice is usually used when 1, out of politeness, you don't wish to state the object of the sentence. Example, active voice, the bad boys smeared all over my book. Now, in passive, my book was smeared all over. We do not wish to state the subject, the object here, by the bad boys. When the action that was performed is more important than the person who did it. Example, polio has been eradicated. It is more important, this action of eradicating polio is more important than the government or than the person who did it, maybe the government, maybe the Ministry of Health. Now, when the person who performed the action is obvious, we have the plane was flown safely over gunfire, and it is obvious that the person who flew the plane was a pilot, and so passive voice is used when the person who performed the action is obvious. So this sentence is in the passive voice. When the person who performed the action is unknown, then it is in the passive voice. Example, in active voice we have someone has stolen my phone. In passive we will have my phone has been stolen. We have not mentioned them because we do not know the person, and so this sentence, my phone has been stolen, is in the passive voice. Now again, passive voice is used when recording resolutions and recommendations in reports and minutes writing. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the passive voice, the use of passive voice has helped you to improve on your English. Kindly remember to like, to share, and to subscribe to this channel. Join me in the next one.